We talk about monetization and why creators quit and why they don't have the passion after a certain amount of time.
If you think you're gonna post 40 videos and you're gonna go viral, throw that shit in the trash.
If you're creating content, you probably want people to buy something if you're doing it the smart way.
The truth is most of you will quit before your moment. It's gonna take a lot longer. It might be your 150th video.
For social media, it's understanding all of those things, the offer, the system, and the constant feedback loop.
You wanna know how much I was able to monetize from Instagram? A whopping $86.
I'm about to tell you something that might hurt your feeling, but it will likely save your creator career. You know that video that got you 100,000 views last month? The creator that has 1,000 followers probably made more money than you just because they understand what I'm about to share.
After watching thousands of creators burn out while chasing virality and have empty bank accounts, we're going to share with you the 3 things that separates creators who make money and those who just make content.
So Sarah, I think it's important for us to talk about why viral success does not necessarily equal financial success. And this is coming from 2 people who have been doing this for a long time. Like my first viral video, which I've talked about recently, went viral on YouTube like 12 years ago. Actually, no, it was longer than that. Jesus. And it was about Jesus. That's the ironic part, or the appropriate part, depending on how you look at it. But let's talk about why viral success does not necessarily equal financial success.
It does not. If you're not following Sara Lovestyle, please make sure that you are. But I have been going viral since Reels was a thing. I was going viral before that, but especially once Reels came out, Shorts came out, it was super easy to go viral. And I remember, it sticks out to me, in January of 2024, I had 4 videos going viral at the same time, and I did about 35 million views that month. You want to know how much I was able to monetize from Instagram? A whopping $86.
You just spent $86 on lunch.
Bruh, that was my Uber Eats for today. That was my DoorDash. What you mean?
Jesus. Shout out to Instagram. $86, baby.
$86.
That's crazy.
So I can truly speak to the fact that going viral doesn't mean a whole lot financially, and it's hard to monetize if you're not doing brand deals and all the other things, which we'll talk about later.
Right.
But in terms of if you're chasing virality, thinking that from TikTok, the influencer or the creator program or the influencer program with Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is, if you think that that's going to be the amount of money that changes your life, let me be the first to tell you, it is not.
I don't know. $86 might change my life right now. That could be really...
But also, like, in all seriousness, the crazy thing is, though, you end up on this cycle of, like, having to chase it for $86 sounds crazy.
True.
Like, to do 30 million views, 35 million views in the same month and it not really amount to anything significant was a really wild reminder for me to focus on the business aspect of why I started Sara Lovestyle and where it was going to lead to, rather than just expecting the algorithm or the platform to monetize me or to make me money. The truth is, and I say this respectfully, like $86 doesn't pay my damn mortgage. So I had to figure out, what do I do next in my business and how do I make it significant enough, or how do I make significant enough content that is valuable that will actually make me real money?
Yeah. So what was the moment for you that just sort of kept you going on this journey? Because the reality is, a lot of us get into this game and most people quit before they ever earn a single dollar, because you think it's going to happen so much faster than it actually happens. And somebody tells you, oh, in 30 days, I can make you go viral. And again, not to say that's impossible, but most people, even as we talk about dreams and the things that you want to do, it takes a whole lot longer than you think it's going to take.
Right.
And there's a lot of sacrifice to go into that. So again, with that being said, what was the moment you knew that this was the right thing for you to do?
So I started making content in 2014, but it wasn't until 2019 that I was going to give myself a 2-year deadline and see if I could actually monetize. But at the time, looking back, I don't know if I understood what that actually meant, because I thought it would be brand deals and, the monetization and the creator programs. And I realized very quickly in 2019 that that was not going to be the path. And I remember I hit like 100K and I was so excited. I was feeling the momentum and I felt great and I stayed encouraged. And then you have this dip. And then I realized I was chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing. And then I was burning out like every quarter trying to chase virality. And I said this in an interview on another podcast that I have called Influence to Equity with Omar. And if I could be honest, going viral and chasing virality is probably one of the worst things that could have happened to me, because I was exhausted making content. And also what it did was it made me shift the kind of content that I was wanting to make to begin with, which was business content. And instead, by chasing virality and the things that I knew my audience would want, which was fashion content and beauty content and transition content, when I tell y'all, I got that sucker on lock. I know what y'all want. I know what my Sara Lovestyle audience wants. Y'all want me to be pretty and funny and relatable. And even though all of those things are true, it's not the conversations that I wanted to be having. And it led me kind of astray because I ended up with the wrong audience that was following me. And then I spent the next 2 years, after going viral for 2 years, I spent the next 2 years trying to essentially get rid of the audience that was wrong for what I wanted to do anyway.
Yep.
So it set me back. Am I grateful? Yes, for my audience. I love you all and I'm so grateful for you. But at the same time, there was 2 years where I had zero growth because my growth rate and the people who were dropping off in order to give me the proper audience to raise my engagement rate, it was like 30,000 people. It was crazy.
That's a lot of people.
It was a lot.
Well, and what's fascinating even about what you just said is the right audience. Yeah. And
I mean, you have a similar story.
I mean, mine is like, I was trying to get rid of the women. Like,
and I was trying to get rid of the men. Sorry.
So like y'all could have just swapped over. Because when I looked at my analytics at that point in time, specifically on Instagram, it was like 78% women and 22% women. I mean, 22% men. Now, that becomes an issue when you're speaking specifically to a topic that's for the other group.
Right.
And so you go through this entire process like, oh, wait, the audience that I built before, the virality that I had before is actually working against me now. And what's fascinating, even as we talk about monetization, I'm going to transition here a little bit, but we talk about monetization and why creators quit and why they don't have the passion after a certain amount of time is you think the monetization is going to happen way faster than it actually happens. I'll give you an example. Sara and I were sitting down. We were talking about YouTube for my channel. And as we're having this conversation, we're looking at the amount of hours that it takes to monetize on YouTube. So now there are certain videos I had on my channel I had to pull down, but I didn't know that counted against you when you pull those videos down. So I'm like, why did my hours go down? So I'm like,
it was like 12.
clicking. I'm like, yo, I just went from like 1,200 hours to 12 hours. Like, what's going on? And then I was like, you know what? I respect it. I'll figure it out. So I was like, maybe it'll take me 6 months to get monetized. So we were creating a ton of videos, creating a ton of podcast conversations. And I'm like, this number is not really clicking up. I'm getting a certain amount of views on my shorts. I'm getting a certain amount of views on my long form videos. But what I didn't know was as many shorts, because I was doing like 3 or 4 shorts a day. And none of them were counting towards the hours.
Right.
And I had to read all the right. So I had to read all the stuff on YouTube. And like, that was a gut punch because I had spent like a year pretty much trying to make it work. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not updated. And then I check again, maybe it's not updated. So I'm an analytics freak. I'm always looking at analytics for everything, whether it's like Instagram, YouTube, or business analytics. Yeah. Sara can tell you this is what we're talking about all the time. But it takes so much longer than you actually think. And actually, I think what people might misunderstand, even about it taking long, is when it does take long, I think it actually works to your benefit.
For sure.
Because you go through this process and you understand what is required of you to sustain it.
Yeah.
And you learn so much more throughout that process. Have you personally had any failures, any situations where you're going through that process and what you thought was going to happen did not happen in the time that you thought it was going to happen?
Keep in mind, I just said I started in 2014.
Uh-huh.
So this is before there were influencers. This is before, like, I considered Instagram to really be a true business or understood this idea of monetization, right? This wasn't really a thing. The year of the blogger really wasn't until like 2016, 2017, 2018. But I thought when I started 2014, I'm like, all right, I got this. I'll start this blog in 2014, 2015. Like, I'm going to be a baddie, right? Like, I got this. Wrong. Wrong. I didn't take it seriously though, and I didn't understand between 2014 and 2019 why it wasn't working. My first page was actually Embracing Beauty by Sara because I started in the beauty and makeup. I wanted to be a beauty influencer. But the reason why I couldn't sustain it and it didn't work because I didn't actually like makeup that much. I like it for me, but I don't like it for other people. The idea that I had to make beauty content, just the thought of being forced to make beauty content even now makes me sick to my stomach. I don't know why. Do I enjoy makeup? Yes. Do I enjoy getting beautified and getting pretty? Yeah, I love the end result. But the idea of having to consistently make beauty content every single day for YouTube and all the different platforms, there was no way. I was not passionate about it. I didn't feel purposeful about it. It wasn't, I mean, if I could be honest, I was never going to be consistent in that space. Yeah. And I think a lot of us just aren't honest with ourselves. And so we're like just trying shit.
Don't work.
And it doesn't work, but you don't actually like that content, so you can't, or that type of content, so you can't consistently make it. Or you're making content in the wrong avenue, and then you get frustrated and burnt out, so then you stop. So when in 2019, when I launched Sara Lovestyle, I was like, I know exactly what I want to do, and I want to go this route. What I will say is once I got it right, it took me 6 years to monetize.
That's crazy.
But once I got it right, then I made my first 6 figures. Then I got caught up in the virality trap and I made less money. And then when I went back and got it together, then I was able to make more money. And my career had been like these 3 years of ebbs and flows. And then also keep in mind the pandemic happened, which is when we launched the agency. When we launched the agency in 2020 because of the pandemic, I realized that my route of monetization was not going to be chasing brand deals. It was going to be having a business and a startup. And that would eventually lead me to a path where now it's a 7-figure brand. There's investments, there's portfolios, we're in VC. But I understood my true value as a creator and as a businesswoman gave me the space to leverage what I know, but I wouldn't have been able to monetize. It would have taken me forever to do that as a creator. There's just no way.
It's crazy because thinking about all those things, like the pandemic happened for me. I had a podcast at that point in time and we're working on it. But then I had to leave LA and leaving LA just kind of made everything stall for me. So a lot of people started creating when reels and stuff came out. That's when everybody was getting paid to make reels.
Oh, it was easy.
I mean, and the thing about it is, I was like, all right, well, I'll do this and I'll make $100 a month or whatever the number was. And like, you kind of set that standard. All right, so what else am I going to do? What else am I going to do? So I was like, well, if I can't do the podcast, then I'll do this thing. But I wasn't really committed to doing reels like that because I was more dedicated to the long form stuff. I've always been a long form kind of guy. So what's fascinating for me is going through that process, you still get into this motion where you're chasing views, you're chasing virality with a lot of things because you're like, well, that's what the algorithm wants. It's fascinating. I was on Facebook the other day. It's funny saying Facebook out loud because people judge you when they know you're on Facebook.
Because I'm not.
But I was on Facebook.
You see me on Facebook, it's a face page on you right now. It ain't me.
So I was on Facebook the other day, and then my cousin's wife, she made a post. She's super frustrated because she's also a creator. And she's going through this process. She was like, well, every time I'm posting something that's inspirational, Facebook is not sharing this with people. But when somebody puts some ass online, they're like, hey, look, they're spreading it everywhere. So I was like, well, you want to see some ass?
I want to see some ass.
I'm just saying.
That's crazy.
Look, if you're a little bit on the
see cash. I want cash.
If you're above 30, you know what we're referring to. But that's what it is. And so like you go through this process and you're trying to create this viral moment while also being genuine to who you are. And you get super frustrated because there's a struggle of, okay, well, I know how to go viral. Like I ain't stressing the day my way to virality all I want to. But is that the kind of content that I want to create? No, absolutely not. Because it doesn't serve the purpose that I wanted to serve, that we wanted to serve for our company. So we could educate people about that. If you want to go viral, just do something crazy. That's it. Do something that is shocking and polarizing to people.
Or get caught in the trap of the trends,
Or get caught in the trap of the trends.
Listen, I've been there too.
Yeah. And the thing about it is like most people get frustrated by the algorithm itself. But really, and I say this very loosely because there's still frustration even now because we've been doing it for so long. But you think the algorithm is your enemy. But the algorithm really is just people. And so as much as
It's your audience's fault.
as much as you want to be frustrated, like, all right, you got 1,000 followers. If they're not interacting with your content, most of these platforms are not going to share it out to other people. But why is that so frustrating for people when you're looking at the audience and some people are like we have a client that's like doing extremely well.
She is.
On some of the stuff that we know how to use.
Yes.
But that same content wouldn't work for us.
No.
But why is that so frustrating?
I mean, the truth is because it takes so much work to make content. You have to think about it. You have to, script it out if you're smart, which we'll talk about later. You'll script out your content. You think about your titles and your thumbnails, and you think about, you're spending hours upon hours, like scrolling, hopefully intentionally. You're scrolling your TikTok and your Instagrams to figure out like what's trending, and then you do the trend and it's not working for you. And then you're frustrated because it doesn't work. The thing we don't think about when it comes to viral content is it doesn't happen on accident. Are you going to know which one it is? No. But when you are intentionally making content, like I know that on any given day, one of these videos is going to go viral because I was very intentional about the choice that I made, from the sound to the topic and the copy and the caption. But I know my audience well. So if I'm doing Bands to Make Her Dance and my mom and my friends and family are the only ones following me, the chances of them engaging is going to be very low. I'm just being honest. Or if you're making the viral content and you think that the copy that Jenny or Jim or Bob used, but it doesn't apply to your audience, it doesn't work. So you think I'm doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, and so that it doesn't work. Then the next one I think is the biggest one. And it's annoying because we talk about, you got to be consistent. But what does that mean? If you think you're going to post 40 videos and you're going to go viral, throw that shit in the trash. If you, sorry.
Jesus.
Throw that mentality away. If you think you're getting into 75 videos and then does that happen for some people? Yes. But the truth is most people quit before they can even go viral because they burn out or they get frustrated. We have a client, for example. It took her 101st.
No, it was like exactly 100.
It was exactly 100. It was her 100th.
It was crazy. It was like the Instagram was testing it.
Right.
Like exactly 100.
No views, no views, no views, no views, no views, low views, low views. And it was doing okay, right? For that number of audience. And then suddenly, number 100. Viral, 1 million. Next video, 1 million. Viral. Next video, viral, viral. She literally went from a couple hundred followers to 50,000 followers in a month like that. The truth is most of you will quit before your moment.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot longer, like Tilmon mentioned, so much longer than you think it is. It might be your 150th video. For me, it was 2 years before I got my first viral video. Could you imagine if I'd quit?
The hardest part for me, being on YouTube, which video went viral? The first one that I ever published. So
great.
On the flip side of that, when your first one goes viral, you're like, oh man, like, let's go. and now you're chasing that.
Yeah.
I got to a point in that process, I was really having a difficult conversation with myself a lot. Cause it's like, I planned my entire life around this thing, not the viral video, but being able to build a company through media, through producing content in a way. And so, like, when that happens, you're like, oh, snap, what do I do now?
Yeah.
But beyond that, like, the virality is one thing. But as we talked about, the 3 things that are holding you back, so I'm going to give you number 1 right now while it's top of mind, is a lot of people are just trying to go viral, and then you go viral and then there's nothing. And you're wondering, like, oh, wait, where are the brand deals? Like, what's happening now? You're viral, you got a video with 1 million views, but you don't have a clear offer. You're not telling people, okay, I'm going to go viral, or obviously you wouldn't say that, but like you're wanting to go viral for a specific reason, but then people come to your page, they reach your website assuming you have one, but then there's no clear offer. You don't have a book. You don't have something that's going to drive people to become a part of your community. And the difference between a community and the audience is drastic.
Wildly.
Because you can have 1 million followers and you don't have a community because you're chasing that virality and people are following you because you're just trying to be funny. So again, number one is you don't have a clear offer. People can't buy anything from you. And even if they could, they don't know why they should buy from you. So with that in mind, what do you feel? As a matter of fact, I feel like you had a story for this. So let me, I'm gonna shut up and let you share that.
I remember someone who almost hired us and didn't. And she posted a video. Great video. Cute video. Really cute scene. Beauty brand.
Who was this?
Huh?
Almost hired us? Or
Me.
Oh, okay.
Me, us,
Got it,
before
got it.
it was us.
Got it.
Before it was we.
Before Mavis, because I know me. I'm like, no.
So I remember a client that I was almost going to hire us, and then she decided not to. She said she could do it herself. Again, no problem. However, she posts a video. The video goes viral. It has 20 million views. Keep in mind, I said this is a beauty brand. Her website wasn't ready. So the video that went viral, people could not purchase. So she went viral with no way to leverage the virality in any way that was meaningful. They couldn't sign up for an email newsletter. There was no website to shop from. There was nothing. And then by the time she finally was able to put up a new website, she got decent traction on the next video, but the website crashed.
Yeah.
It was not made well. It was not an easy integration. When you tell people or your audience that they have to go and make 17 different steps in order to purchase, that's just too many damn steps. People aren't going to purchase from you if there are more than 2 things for them to do. Then after all that, she finally has a website. The website doesn't crash. There's not enough product. So now you've lost trust, you've lost credibility, and these people are no longer coming back to buy from you. So guess what happens to her numbers? Her business is shut down because nobody's purchasing. Then she doesn't go viral again. That was what, 2.5, 3 years ago? And she hasn't had a viral video since.
Sheesh.
That is the problem with going viral. If you go viral, there's nowhere to buy, nowhere to shop, no service, like at least a way for people to sign up for your email newsletter. Because the truth is, social media is borrowed land, okay? The platforms are all borrowed. So if you can't take some of these people off of your social media and have them sign up somewhere else, ideally your website, so that they can follow any ideas or integrations or stories or just your journey to eventually lead to purchasing something, again, a product or a service, it's really useless to have numbers because heaven forbid, like we know, if you don't know, TikTok is shutting down. In September, there is a sale that's coming. It'll be changed to something else. We'll put the name of the new one here. I think it's like
No, we won't. I don't care about that. We ain't putting no free promotion.
So it's like M2 or something, but we'll put it here. So TikTok sale is happening. It's September of 2025. This video will be out before that. So if you have an audience on TikTok, that audience will not be migrated automatically to this new US-based only TikTok. So you have between September of 2025 and March, when that app shuts down to US users, to integrate or move those people over, or you are done for. You have to start at ground zero. So you better have a plan for the next 6, 7, 8 months of what you're going to do in order to move them over. Again, if you don't get these people off of social media to a website, somewhere where you have their email address and SMS system, and again, we always talk about systems and integration. If you don't have that figured out, you are screwed.
So you just spoke to a couple of things. So
Sorry, that was a lot.
No, you're good. So no offer is first and foremost. That's one of your biggest problems. That's the number one thing that's holding you back. But the other side of that is the system or some type of funnel to get people to be a part of all the things that you do. It doesn't matter if it's an email newsletter, you have like a mighty network, some type of community for people to connect with you and somehow, some way, continue to be a part of all of the things that you're doing. We'll give you number 3 later, but let's talk about just exploring this whole monetization thing. We were having a conversation before we got started here, and you mentioned something about YouTube and why it's so valuable to start reverse engineering. Start by the end, which is the same thing with sort of content, which we'll talk about in a second. But I thought what you just said was so important in terms of YouTube. You want to share that?
Yeah. If you're making a YouTube video or a short without the title or the thumbnail in mind first, you're going in the wrong direction and your content will not work.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. The way that we make YouTube content, and some of your favorite YouTubers, the top YouTube creators, they're not going viral on accident. Those videos are not being published on accident. Before we script a video, before we even consider what the topic is going to be about, once we figured that part out, the next thing is what's the title and then what's the thumbnail. Because if those two things aren't in place, the rest of it doesn't matter. You can have the most exceptional video, the most exceptional, color grading and the sound effects and all the fancy shit. None of that will matter if you don't think about your title and your thumbnail. None of it will matter, especially if you make educational content, if you are an author, if you are edutainment. You have to consider what those two things are, because the algorithm for YouTube only cares about that. What's the watch time in the first 3 seconds, the first 30 seconds, the next minute, and then it'll decide how many more people to share it to. If you don't consider that, your video will fail.
You know what? It's crazy to say this out loud, but I go back to when I started out with the idea of writing a book. So I wrote a book years ago called Change Your Life. I said there are two kinds of people who I've seen in the world: those who live in fear every day and those who live in fearlessness every day. And I still struggle to say that word even after 13 years since I wrote the book. Fearlessness every day. And I remember when I wrote that book, I said to myself, oh, wait, I wrote the book from a reverse engineering perspective, but I should have done all of this from a reverse engineering perspective. What that meant for me was I should have thought about the selling aspect of it. Yeah. How I was going to market it. Why is this important right now? When you're talking about content, we told you one of the things that you need to have is a offer and a system in addition to your content, because people need to be able to buy something from you. What that meant for me when I wrote my second book, I had to also reverse engineer that aspect of it. My second book, by the way, is called It's Gonna Hurt, But It Won't Kill You.
Go buy it.
How transparency and vulnerability might save your life. Actually, it's not might, it will save your life. But the premise of that is reverse engineering from your offer. Know what you want people to buy from you. And again, if you're creating content, you probably want people to buy something if you're doing it the smart way. So start with your offer. For me, it was the book. So what was the system, the mechanism that I was going to get people to connect with me, to engage with me? I said, I'm going to do, and it's going to hurt, but it won't kill you, podcast. Not only that, I'm going to have a newsletter, and I'm going to use that content to funnel people into the newsletter to become a part of my community. So it's content, system, offer, but you're reverse engineering. So you start with your offer in mind. You build a system, whether it's a newsletter, all the things that you're going to create for people to be a part of your community. You can use Mighty Networks. You could use Discord. You can use a bunch of other community building platforms like Circle. But figure out how you're going to have that system, whether it's a blog or email newsletter, based on what you want your offer to be. And then reverse engineer it with your content. I think that's probably the simplest way that I can explain it. Yeah. Because the reality is that's the only reason that I got book sales. That's the only reason people knew I had a book, was because I had the podcast and I was creating content around that. So a lot of people are just creating things and you're doing the content, but it serves no purpose. So I know I can get long-winded a lot, but I wanted to share that because I think it's so important that when you're looking at all the things that you're creating with a purpose. And you're creating with a plan, and you're being strategic instead of constantly burning out and not turning your visibility into revenue, something that actually means something that's valuable to you. So,
I also think about, this is something that's very specific to mom bloggers or vloggers, or if you make like content with your kids. So oftentimes it's not that hard to go viral when your children are involved, your pet is involved, right? And I've had these conversations over and over again with folks or friends in the industry, where they'll post a video with their kids and it gets like 50 million views. And then they're shocked when they don't monetize. They're shocked when they don't get the brand deals. They're shocked when brands aren't like clamoring, even though they're in their comments, they're not clamoring to work with them. One viral video does not make you monetize. One viral video does not mean you are worthy or valuable enough to work with brands.
Oh, yeah.
One single video does not mean that you are prepared or ready or...
You haven't figured it out.
You haven't figured it out yet. As a brand or somebody who works also on the business side, just because you went viral, yay, good for you. But also at the same time, if I go through... So here's what happens when you go viral. The videos around that one video, also the views go up, the likes go up, the engagement goes up. The problem is, if you don't have video content that is similar to the video that went viral, it doesn't mean anything. And so if you can't raise and there's not bingeable content around the video that goes viral, your virality is essentially worthless.
Facts.
I'm sorry I said that.
No.
I'm always the tough one.
No, you're right. It
also leads to our next point.
No. And it does, because we talked about not having an offer. We talked about not having a system.
Yeah.
But also you have no feedback loop.
Nope.
You don't have the data, and you're not looking at your analytics in a way to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So as we create, one of the things that we do with ourselves or with our clients, we use the analytics to help tell the story. We use the analytics to say, okay, well, if I'm going to create these videos, I need to create more of these so I can have that connection with people. It's kind of like going on to Netflix. Yeah. You know you're going to pay that subscription with Netflix every single month, because after you watch your show or after you watch your movie, you know there's other things for you to watch if you want to binge it. We were watching something here recently, and there was people singing. And I'm like, we have been watching this for 4 hours.
And we never watched TV.
We've been watching, like, what were we doing? We were working, and next thing I know, we're watching people. I'm like, bro, what are we doing? Yep. But it's because, like, somehow we were, like, fully into watching this show because it was bingeable content. So you have to think from that perspective.
But what happened, though? What happened when we got to that last episode?
Oh, you get frustrated because it's a cliffhanger.
So not only was it a cliffhanger, let me tell you what happened. And this is actually something to keep in consider when you're making your content, okay? Again, when we talk about bingeable content around your one viral piece of content. So we're watching this show, right? And again, no idea how we got down.
We were working. We were working.
I don't know.
How did we get into this show? I'm still a little frustrated by that. If you could, because I'm not a like Netflix 4 hours kind of person. It might have been longer than that, but
never.
Anyway, continue. My bad.
So no, you're good.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
Because I never watch TV, so I don't know how that happened. So we're watching the show. And then what's not normal for Netflix is for me not to be able to get to the final episode and watch whatever the ending is, right? Mm-hmm. So I am not a person that's going to be like, hey, Thursday nights, 8 p.m., watch X, and then I got to come back for it 8 weeks. No, I'm going to wait until the show season is over, and then I'm going to binge all the episodes because that's just my personality type. Now, keep in mind, most consumers on social media are that way. So with this show, it left on a cliffhanger where I had to come back another week to finish the final 3 or 4 episodes.
Curiosity gap.
So you know what happened? I went from heightened, I need to know what the hell happened. I need every single detail. I'm in it. I'm invested. And then they said next week, do you think I'm going to finish the next 4 episodes? No. My immediate, what did I say? I'm not watching the show again.
I remember because I tuned out after that because I've been watching people sing for 4 hours. I was like, I don't like these people. I don't know these people. Yeah, no. Like, what are we doing? And I went back to work.
But I literally said I'm not going to watch any more episodes of this show, which is also sad. Maybe I need to go to therapy, but that's a conversation for another day. But the truth is that's how your audience is consuming your content, especially new audiences. So actually, I can talk about this. So I recently had when I talked about losing my son, that post went viral. I think it's got 3, 4, 5 million views, whatever it is right now on it. And I made that post because I couldn't avoid that particular topic for a whole bunch of reasons, but also it was something that's important to me. Even though I don't show my children, that's always been important to me. I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge my son and my baby in this particular post. But I said all that to say this video goes viral, the post goes viral. And I got this influx of 10 or 15,000 people who follow me for this one particular post. And I knew immediately that when it went viral, that these people were going to drop off for the most part, because the rest of my content, the rest of my bingeable content, had nothing to do with grief. And I also knew that they would leave because my future content would also not talk about my personal life and my grief. I'll do an update every once in a while, but my intent isn't to talk about that journey because, one, it's personal, and two, it's still something that I'm struggling with and will continue to struggle with. But even in this particular case, when I posted that grief video, every time I talk about it, it does well, but I'm not ready to talk about that content yet or to talk about it publicly yet. And so when I lost those, like, I don't know, maybe it's been like 6,000 or 7,000 people who have left, and I know they're disappointed because they wanted more of that content, but I'm not going to make that. So just expect and know that if you go viral for a piece of content and the rest of it around it doesn't match, people will leave, and it's not personal. It's not you, it's them.
That's real.
Mm-hmm.
What we talked about just for our company, like in addition to what we create for the clients that we work with, because for social media, it's understanding all of those things, the offer, the system, and the constant feedback loop with your audience and understanding the analytics and how to apply them. It's all of those things. But not a lot of this content that we create from a business perspective necessarily goes viral. And we know it's not going to go viral.
Nope.
But on the flip side, which is a good side, which you mentioned, you said, this is the lowest in terms of virality, but what does it mean?
When I came back from bereavement, and this is going to happen regardless of bereavement or not, I knew when I came into 2025 that I was not going to make funny content as much anymore. I'm not going to make sexy content anymore. It's just not where I'm in my life, and nor does it feel authentic to who I am. But also I knew that it would go viral. So when I came back from bereavement, and the truth is, making funny content doesn't feel authentic to me right now because I don't find shit funny. But what I knew I could talk about and be consistent with was making business content, which is what I wanted to do anyway, because y'all don't know how smart I am and all the cool shit that I do.
She met me, so congratulations.
Like, people don't know how much stuff is happening in my life, and my real life is so much doper than my social media life, but you wouldn't know that because...
And let me say this. I'm only joking. She probably would have done it anyway. I was just saying we just collaborate really well.
I needed the extra push, and maybe that was Josiah too with the extra push. But I realized that I was not going to make that kind of content. I could go viral and have 30 million views a month, and I could make $86, or I could make great educational pieces of content that might relate to one or two people, and I'm not going to go viral anymore. Because the truth is, my views have gone down, the likes have gone down, the engagement has gone down. All of it has gone down. That is my truth. But simultaneously, sure, I might get 100 likes, but I'm all of a sudden getting like 80 reshares and 90 saves. And then from those 100 people, we're converting them and having conversations even from friends and people who are entrepreneurs across the country saying, hey, can we get on a call? Can we talk? Can we talk? This very morning, I had 3 calls, 3 conversations today from a piece of content that we posted yesterday that was about business. And then being able to convert those people into high ticket items, because the truth is our service ain't cheap.
It is not.
It's not for everybody. It is a very expensive product. It's a very expensive service. But I can make $86 with 30 million views, or we can convert 2 or 3 people, and then those 2 or 3 people can bring us an $86,000 client by closing one person. It could be yeah, exactly. Or bring on, we had somebody who's now a 6-figure client of ours, but I would rather have those 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 clients who close from 100 likes from 2,000 views than to have 30 million and make $80. It's crazy work.
The dopest part for me...
Also, I didn't say that as well as I did when we were practicing.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's funny is like a lot of people are so afraid to script things.
Yeah.
And whether you're in sales, whether you're an actor, whether you're working on something for a meeting, it's scripted. And so you take yourself through that process so you can be more confident in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. The reason why she said when we were practicing, because we had a conversation prior to, now it wasn't as detailed as the one we're having right now, but we had a conversation talking about the outline. So Your cheat code is actually scripting things out, writing them out so you can see them. But in addition to that, because I don't want this conversation to go on and on and on, we share a few different things throughout the process of having these types of conversations. It's so important to understand whatever platform you're going to use, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, understand what your audience wants from a short form perspective. Understand what they want from a long form perspective and how you're going to speak to them. So what we always leave you with is 3 things. Pick a problem, pick a person, and pick a platform, and decide how you're going to build differently. And if this episode actually helped you with anything and you feel like you understand more about how to turn your audience into revenue, make sure you watch this video so you can understand why most creators are quitting right now before they ever make revenue.